You were given an audience with David Bowie in Japan. It was being floated that INXS might go on tour, be part of the David Bowie show. Tell me about being admitted into the presence.
Well, it was funny. I was in Japan looking for locations to shoot the original Sin video. I went along to this little club in Tokyo one night, and I'm standing in the middle, not many people. Someone goes, "David Bowie's over there." "Oh, it's Mr. Bowie." I said, "Oh, I don't really care. I don't really like his music anyway." So when it all finished, I was the international music man. Then David Bowie walked in, and I was like an ant. You know what I mean? So he got rushed away backstage as the god, Mr. David Bowie, and I sort of got left there. Who's that Chris Murphy guy now? And then eventually Sandy came down. She was very polite and said, "Chris, why don't you come to the dressing room and say hello and meet Mr. Bowie?" I said, "Look, I don't really care if I meet Mr. Bowie, to be really frank." And she said, "Well, come up anyway." And I walked into the dressing room, and he was in the middle of the room, sitting down, holding court with everyone, gawking at him. And they're all sitting down, and there was no chairs left. So no one got up. So I'm standing there in the middle of a room. Can you just imagine? And everyone's looking, so he said, "Oh, Mr. Bowie, this is Mr. Chris Murphy from Australia." And before I could say anything, he goes, "Oh, I'm Australia. I'm going down there to do an Australian tour." I said, "Yes, I heard." What he didn't know that I knew he hadn't sold out. And I said, "Yes, I've heard." And he said, yes. Apparently there's this band called Ice House or something. Sing apparently wants to be me. And I was going, oh, yeah, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want a band on stage that thinks he's me. He goes, "Yeah, I'm thinking about having this band called INXS." And he doesn't know who I am at this stage. And I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah, apparently they're pretty good and they're doing really well." And I said, "Yeah, they just sold, we just sold triple platinum." And I knew his last album had only sold about 50,000 and we'd done triple platinum, which is 210,000. Big difference. So he goes, "Yeah, I'm thinking about putting them on as the support." And I said, "Oh, really? Are you?" I said, I think they've sold more records than you down there." Still didn't give away who I was. He said, "Oh, well, I might just do them a little favour and put them on my support." And I said, "Little favour, will you?" So I said, "Oh, well, see how you go." And I never told him. So I go home and go to bed. Don't think anything of it. My phone starts ringing about 4 o'clock Tokyo time. And I pick up the phone, I get this screaming like a girl from a guy who worked for me. He goes, "Did you meet David Bowie last night?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "David Bowie is a god." I said, "He might be to you, but to me he's just some guy who was being a bit obnoxious, to be honest." So anyway, he calls back and about 2 hours later or something, he goes, "Paul Dainty's rang and wants INXS to be on the tour." I said, "No, thank you." And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Gary, he just sold 40,000 records. We just sold 210. We just sold out all the shows. INXS is going to be an international band. If we don't start thinking we're an international band, we can and go off and do support bands to every international act. I don't care who they are." And I said, "Plus the guy hasn't sold out his shows, okay? And now what they want to do is use INXS to sell out the shows, but they want to pay us what, 25 grand a show or something? And we have to sell out the tickets. It doesn't work that way in my world." So the phone calls kept coming, and eventually I said, "I'll make you a deal. Tell them that I will do it on the proviso that they cannot advertise one word of INXS, and we'll do it as a surprise." Now, this is before social media so you could play in Perth, and maybe a radio station in Perth might report it back to a Sydney radio station, but you could actually, you didn't have this sort of overnight or within seconds social media. So anyway, they all accepted. And we did a deal, signed an agreement, and then I got a phone call. I'll never forget it. I can remember where I was sitting. Someone said, "Oh, it's Wayne from WA in Perth." He goes, "Chris, I just heard the news. You're doing the David Bowie tour." I said, "Where did you hear the news from?" And he goes, "David Bowie arrived in Perth this morning for his first show, and he's sitting there with Molly, and they announced that INXS are doing the special guest." I said, "They announced it at the press release." And he goes, "Yeah, press conference." So I hung up. I said, "Gary, cancel the tour." He said, "You cannot." And I did. And that was the first time I had INXS I had everyone in my face. Everyone in my office hated me. Tim Farris's wife, the only time in all, and to this day, only came and saw me and goes, I beg you, Chris. The band were coming at me. Everyone was coming at me. And I don't know how I did it. I just stood there steel-faced and said, no, principle, principle, principle. We're not breaking principles. If we're going to break our principles today, how are we going to break them? And we didn't do it.
Did anyone in the band support you in that?
I can't remember, so.